Yo, what's up? And welcome to my new temporary YouTube studio. I already moved out of my old apartment / office / YouTube studio and into this new penthouse. And I really love it because it's really bright, it's really good looking, and you can basically film yourself from every angle and it'll always look good. So I'm looking forward to creating a lot of YouTube content in here, but the very cool part is that this isn't even my new YouTube studio, because I will get a dedicated complete YouTube studio next month, but I don't have the keys yet. So I set up a temporary workplace for me here and I will be recording some of the next YouTube videos in here. But that is obviously not what we're here to talk about today. We're here today to talk about filters. And I already talked about some filters on my channel, like magnetic ND filters, variable ND filters that feature a Pro Mist built-in, etc. And I somewhat have a love-hate relationship when it comes to filters, because you do need them and a good Pro Mist filter can save the day, or sometimes you need a circular polarizer, like on that music video shoot we did the other day where we were filming in a moving car and we needed to get rid of reflections. And a full behind the scenes of this one is coming soon as well. But overall, stacking filters on top of each other is not my favorite thing to do. So the product I'm reviewing today is by a company called Freewell, and I've already done some of their filters, but this one is really innovative and cool and it is brand new. Today is the launch day for the Indiegogo campaign, and this is basically 7 filters in one, and that is just the physical filters that come in this box. But overall, if you combine some of them together, you end up with probably 19 different versions of different kind of filters in this little package. And I think that is a pretty cool idea. So let's actually have a closer look at what these can do. My name is Damien Cooper and welcome to Monkey Fish. Alright, so now let's figure out what you're getting when you purchase these and how they actually work, because that kind of took me a little while. So when you purchase these, you get this case, and that is a pretty cool case because it hosts all of your filters. So this is what it looks like right here. So now let's start and have a look at what's inside. So the first thing is you have a base, and this one you put on top of your camera so you can host all the other filters. Pretty self-explanatory. So next up you have the 2 base filters choices, and you kind of have to decide between either you only want to use the variable ND filters or you want to use the Pro Mist. So basically you just put them in first and you decide either to go with the Pro Mist version or just the variable ND filter version. Alright, and last but not least, you got these 2 filters as well as a protection cap, and that is pretty cool because a lot of variable ND filters do not come with those, and all of these are completely magnetic, as you can see, so that's pretty cool. Okay, so now here's where it gets very interesting, because I have these 2 filters. One is the 2 to 5 stop, one is the 6 to 9 stop, but that's not all they are. So let's take the 2 to 5 stop for example. You put them on, you turn them, you have a variable ND filter. But if you take them off and then switch it around and apply it from the other side, you have a circular polarizer. So that is pretty cool. So now you have to decide between either the variable ND filter or just a circular polarizer if you want to, and that saves you a lot of space. And somewhat the same is true for the 6 to 9 stop. If you use it from one side, you have a 6 to 9 stop variable ND filter, which is pretty cool. But if you turn it around, you have a circular polarizer with an ND35 built in. So no, you cannot use a variable ND filter with a circular polarizer, because obviously that couldn't work because you need to turn both of them, but you do have the option to use an ND filter with a circular polarizer, and that is just between the 2 of these glasses. So you have everything from just a CPL, a 2 to 5 stop variable ND filter, a 6 to 9 stop variable ND filter, and a circular polarizer with the ND32 built in. So, and if you combine this with the Pro Mist base you can get some huge variations of different things. You can use a Pro Mist plus a CPL, a Pro Mist plus a variable ND filter, a Pro Mist plus a CPL plus an ND filter. You get the point. So overall, the magnetic design and the fact that you can just turn them around 180 degrees and get a different kind of filter is amazing if you ask me. So now that we have established how any of this works, let's actually look at some footage, because in the end, that's what it comes down to, right? When I'm using variable ND filters, I'm looking for three things. The number one is a color cast, because a lot of these variable ND filters have a green tint to them. And that isn't really a problem if you're only shooting with the ND filter, because you can easily fix it in post, or even on some cameras it actually enhances the image. But overall, this is a problem for me, because me personally, I shoot a lot in sunrise and sunset situations, or oftentimes go from indoors to outdoors. So I'm constantly in this no ND filter to two-stop ND filter range. So that means when I'm quickly switching from no ND to two-stop ND, for example, and I'm having a color cast on the ND filter image but not on the other one, it's a nightmare in post having to fix all of this. So all of these magnetic ND filters won't do anything for you if you spend way more time in post afterwards. So let's start with the variable ND filter base. You can already tell when applying the base to your filter thread that it's already getting a little bit darker, and I estimate this around maybe one stop ND. It's not too much, but there's definitely a little bit of darkening going on here. So then we use the 2 to 5 stop ND filter, put it on top of our camera lens, and well, it's actually not bad, and there is no green color cast, at least none that I can say there is, and that is very welcoming. And neither the variable ND filter nor the base has any kind of green color cast to it, and that for me is something I really appreciate. So the next thing I'm looking for when working with variable ND filters is cross polarization, and that basically means when you turn your filter, you sometimes get this X pattern, and that really ruins your shot, because you basically have different kind of glasses that overlap to each other, and sometimes, well, you get these patterns. And I had this before with a really cheap variable ND filter, and it kind of ruined my entire shoot. So I'm happy to announce with the Freewell variable ND filters, there's no such thing, and there's no cross polarization to worry about. And again, this is something that I really appreciate. And here is the third and last thing that I'm always worried about when using variable ND filters, and that is vignetting when shooting wide angle. And unfortunately with these you do have some vignetting, because they're not hard stop but they're variable stops, and with the regular hard stop variable ND filters it's definitely less pronounced, but with these ones you do have some vignetting, especially when shooting on 15mm, which we were doing a lot in Italy. So you definitely do have some vignetting the higher you go with your ND. With 2, 3, 4 stops, it's really not that prominent, but when you go up to 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, you definitely do see some vignetting when shooting wide open at, for example, 15mm. Me personally, I do like using vignettes as a style choice a lot of the time, so I kinda like the look of it, but I can definitely see a lot of people not liking these, especially if you're shooting landscapes or if you're shooting multiple subjects and they're off to the side and the one in the center is brighter than the ones on the outside. So keep that in mind when you actually want to purchase these filters. Another thing I really have to mention is that when using the circular polarizers, you do have a color shift. It goes from cool to warm, depending on how far you turn the CPL filter. And I'm not too familiar with the CPLs in general, so this might actually be a common problem on any CPL filters, but I'm not sure. But this is definitely something to look out for when using CPLs. So the last thing to say about the image quality of these filters is that they're actually really looking great, especially when using the variable ND filters with the Pro Mist. And I've already done a full review of these from Freewell, and I did like them then and I still like them. So this is something that is really cool, and overall I like the look of it, I like the Pro Mist feel to it, and I couldn't really see any saturation shifts, or I really did like the lens flares coming into the glass. So overall I'm really satisfied with the quality of these filters. So let's do a little Linus Tech Tips kitchen setup for our finale, shall we? So you might be thinking, wow, that sounds really expensive. And so did I in the beginning, but I was really surprised at how inexpensive this product is considering how many different filters you get. So I think they're starting as a crowdfunding Indiegogo project, and I'm not 100% sure, but I think the first 100 people get it for I think $200 and then $250, and the final price will be around $300. So thinking you get 2 variable ND filters, you get 2 CPL filters, one with ND, one without, 1 Pro Mist filter for all of these combined, well, I think that's actually pretty reasonable. And this is a product that I would really like to use on my lenses. And also the really cool thing is that they plan on coming out with all different kinds of filter sizes, from 58 millimeters all the way up to 95 millimeters. Yes, you heard me right, 95 millimeters, and that is really cool because it will also fit the 28-70 2.0, and currently there's hardly any variable ND filters, no Pro Mist filters, no circular polarizers for the 95 millimeter filter thread of the 28-70 2.0, and with this you have all of the filters for the 28-70 and basically all of your other lenses as well. I hope you liked this review, although it was a little bit different. I also hope you liked this little low-key tour of my new living room, and the audio will probably suck because this is a really large space and absolutely no soundproofing, which I will obviously not do either because this is my living room, and I will be getting a completely new dedicated studio in the very near future. And if you're interested in that, then let me know down in the comments below, because maybe I will take you on a tour with me and maybe even document the entire process of getting the new studio, as well as setting it up and all the different kind of YouTube sets that I'm planning to do there. But overall, I really like the Freewell products. I will be getting more of those for the 28-70 2.0 when they are available, and I will also try to put up way more YouTube videos in the very near future. The next video that I will upload is actually a video where I'm explaining what happened, why I haven't uploaded in 3 months. Spoiler alert, I had so much commercial work going on, really cool projects, lots of stuff, I just didn't have the time. And in this video I will be going over most of these projects, how I got them, show you a little bit of behind the scenes, and just give you a little bit of behind the scenes insight of me as a professional filmmaker who does commercial work instead of YouTube work. But from now on I really want to get back to YouTube, do more of these videos. So if you're into that, hit that like button, subscribe to see me in the next video, and I hope to see you on the next one.